Okay, Kendall Kirk here with Clemson University Precision Agriculture. Give you a quick little rundown on some of the hardware recommendations associated with our soil sampling utility software. Basically, the software allows for two different types of GPS inputs, one of which being this Fidgets USB input. I use these a good bit in some of my research. They're not extremely accurate, so if you want to find what two-row plot you're in, this is certainly not the device for you. But for general zone sampling, grid sampling applications, I think this is a really good option. Within any of the different hardware recommendations or options that I'll be discussing in this video here, we're certainly not endorsing one over another. Mostly this is just to provide you with examples of options that you might go with. If you do get a Fidgets GPS unit, a couple of points I'd like to make with it. It is not enclosed, so it is not waterproof, it's not weatherproof. What we have done with these, and we'll try to post a video on this as well down the road, we've enclosed them in boxes and then filled the box up entirely with silicone. It matters what kind of silicone you use, and there's a few other things that matter within that. But that seems to work well. The problem with that is that if you nick a wire or cut a wire, you've got to hack away at a good bit of silicone to replace that wire, either the USB cable coming in here or this active antenna that plugs in on this end. It does come with the USB cable. I'll talk about that on the next slide. And then it does also come with an antenna. The antenna that it comes with is probably a 2 to 3 foot length cable on it, I guess. If you require a longer cable associated with the antenna, depending on what your application is, if you search active antenna SMA male, it's a SMA male connector on the end of this antenna here. You should find several options from several different providers in up to, I'd say, 20-foot range if I had to guess. The USB cable that comes with it is probably about a 6-foot long cable. And specifically on the accuracy, they specify a position accuracy of 2.5 meters circular error of probability. I'm not certain what that means, but generally what I've seen with these is in the wide open, they will get you within probably 5 feet from your actual position. That's a rough estimate. That's not a value that I've actually tried to measure. And when you're under canopy, if you're on the edge of a tree line, then that can go up to as much as 30 or 40 feet, what I've seen. One thing that they will provide is when other antennas will just absolutely give you nothing, they will generally give you something. Although sometimes if it's, like I said, under a canopy or inside a building, its accuracy may be way off. I'll show you a demonstration of that in one of the next videos where we show you the software running. That unit, that GPS unit, comes with this mini USB cable. It's a mini USB on one end and a USB-A connection on the other end. So you can get these from other manufacturers. You don't have to get them through Fidgets. This 180 centimeter, about 5.9 meter, or excuse me, about 5.9 foot long cable is what it comes with. In some applications, especially if I'm walking a field or if one of my technicians is walking a field and they need to collect data, basically they're walking with their laptop and GPS plugged into the laptop. Usually we'll go with these shorter cables here, and then in some machine-based applications we'll go with the longer cable so we can get that antenna out of the cab and to whatever position we want it at, even if it's placed back on the implement somewhere in some cases. I have not tried this product. I'm not particularly familiar with this product other than what I've read on it. I will give it a try, and if any of you beat me to it, please let me know if it works. According to what I've read on it, it looks like it will. It plugs into your USB input, and it sets up just like a USB serial port adapter, but then delivers NEMA sentences, NMEA, National Marine Electronics Association. It delivers those sentences as if they were coming in along a COM port. So it's a virtual COM port. If this works well, then it's, for soil sampling applications, I think a really good option at the price point that we're looking at here. Again, I need to look into this. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility for you. And the next class of GPS input devices are devices that provide differential correction. And generally, this is kind of the lowest end of device. It's a great product, but it's about the lowest end that you can get, where you do have that differential correction. This one is WAS enabled, I believe. And then you'll have some that have Coast Guard beacon corrections and GLONASS. So you've got other options if precision is something that's really important to you. If you need to know, for instance, what row you're on, you can certainly get those capabilities. You're gonna pay more for them, and all of these devices, or most of these devices, once we move into this range, it's going to have a standard serial output. So if you're using a computer that does not have a serial port, you can still use these, but you have to get a serial port to COM adapter. What I found with these is you want to get a name brand one. You don't want to go with the cheap generic ones. They generally they're about 50-50 as to whether or not they'll work. They'll all work eventually, what I've found, but some of them don't work right away, and you got to fight them for a while before you can finally get them to set up properly. And then you get into what type of machine do you want to run this on. You can run it on any Windows-based operating system, XP, Windows 7, Windows 10, and I'll show you a little piece on a tablet on the next slide. What I use in my research, and again, I'm not endorsing one product over another one, but what I use in my research are these CF18s and CF19s. I like them because you can flip them around into a tablet mode. They're touch screen. One thing you do have to think about on any computer that you're going to use is what is the screen brightness. When you're in the field, especially in the bright sun, sometimes it's hard to see what's going on the screen. We have designed the software so that there is high contrast, so it's about as good as we can get it in terms of showing you where you are relative to your zones or relative to your grids. But I would certainly look into the reviews on these machines and see what they specifically say. To give you an idea of price range, I've been buying these CF18 machines for about $300 refurbished. They do have a serial port built into them. They are waterproof. They're weatherproof. CF19s refurbished are another $100 over that. And then you've got some other product providers, some other ruggedized laptop providers listed down here, and I believe there's a few more of them. But these are the primary ones that are on the market. And then you've got tablets. I am working towards, or will be working towards, making this software work on the tablet, running on Windows 8.1. I'm not there yet, I don't think, although I haven't tried it on a tablet yet. I'll probably try that in the coming weeks and let you know what I find out. What I found with some similar software that we've written and tried to implement on tablets is that it does run and the driver's set up properly, but the challenges we've had are that the screen, the display and the controls on the display don't set up properly. So you've got some controls that overlap one another. I'll look into either modifying the software so that it sets up properly on a tablet, or providing a sort of a sister software to it that's designed for tablets. I like the tablet option because it's $100. To get a rugged tablet is a lot more than that. But if you had a $100 tablet, and for instance, that $30 GPS we were looking at earlier, this is, zone sampling, grid sampling is a much cheaper option for you. So I'll let you know what we find out on that, and I'll probably hit on some more of these points in the videos to come.